Okay, welcome back. What I've done is I've modified the um, collision control. So double click on it, and it'll bring up your collision control. And be sure to hit pause a few times in here because you're not going to be able to type as fast as I might go. I've modified this script. We had it so that we had an ouch and we had other things that we could set, right? So what we're doing here is we're adding this, part one. This object controls what collision makes what sounds. So we're going to make collision control a reusable script. That's what we're getting ready to do here. Now, just weird words. Serializable means it will show up in the inspector. Okay, so a structure is just a collection of variables. Like we had one of these, we had one of these. You can put them together in a structure. So serializable means I want this structure of stuff to show up in the inspector. You'll see what it means when we get a little bit further along. I'm going to scroll this over and make this easier to see. All right, so I want you to type this in, then hit pause, and as soon as you're finished, hit resume. Okay, you've hit resume. Now, there was an ouch in here. Take that out and put this in. And hit pause when you're starting and hit resume when you're done. So what this does is it makes a bunch, 0 or more things who got hit. Okay. Now this part's the same as it was before, but everything after other name gets replaced with this. Now, while you're typing, I'll talk, and remember, you can hit rewind, pause as many times as you want. So, we have made a variable that holds 0 or more. Sorry, I scrolled it on you. We have made a variable that holds 0 or more in the sound matrix. And sound matrix is a name I made up. It's a matrix is another word for array. So, for each of that object we made up there of the structure, we're going to have a variable called a sound set, or a set of sounds in there. So it's going to go through every entry in the list. If the other tag that hit us matches what we put in, it's going to get the rigid body for us. If we have one, that means we can hit something. Then we're going to play a sound, and then it's going to tell us what hit what. If we don't have a rigid body, we probably shouldn't have a collision control, so it's going to give us an error. If the sound wasn't set, it's going to give us an error. And okay, so I'm going to hit pause here to let you enter all of this, and when you get done entering this, let me scoot over to make sure you can see it all. I'm going to go to the top. So you had to create this. You can hit pause, and this. You got rid of ouch. You can hit pause, and then we went down here, and everything after other name got replaced with this. And now I'm going to go over here and show you what I did. Now I made it slightly different. I made an anvil that will fall on a skull that'll fall on that box. And I painted the box with the crayons because I'm not a very good artist. So, and then I modified some stuff. So the rock now you take the collision control and make sure the collision control has the rock 01 has a collision control. You type drag collision control onto the rock if it doesn't have one, if it does not have one. And then I'll delete these two and show you how to add them. Alright, so we're back on rock. You've made sure that collision control, at least only one, is on rock. And I've added some sounds. In this case, I added an audio source, and this is it's called bullet hits metal, but you'll see what I'm going to use it for in a second. I'm going to add one of these. So I'm going to add this audio source to when the rock. Oh, we can play the sound. This is when rock hits rock, but it says bullet hits metal, but it's a loud one. So, and then, so when the rock is hit by the floor, then we make the sound. If the rock is hit by another rock, we make a sound. Remember, the hit by tag is the tag, right? We have a tag for the floor, we have a tag for the rock. Because I used a skull and an anvil, I created a skull and an anvil tag. Now don't go hog wild with these. You can only have like 200 of them. but if it's convenient, especially for a game like this where you're not going to get lost. All right. So when the rock hits the floor, it'll make a sound. When the rock hits a rock, it'll make a sound. Now, what else are we going to do? The player. Okay. When the player, I've added two. This will be empty when you start. You hit the plus sign twice. When the player hits a tree, it'll make the sound that we made, the ouch. When the player hits a rock, it'll make the ouch sound that we had. Okay. When the anvil, I'm going to delete this script and show you creating it from scratch just to make sure you understand. All right. And I'm going to remove the audio source that I had to add. All right. So the anvil. I'm going to take collision control and I'm going to put it on the anvil. This is what I did for all of the objects. Right? The list is empty. So when the anvil hits the skull, and it was a capital S, it's going to make a sound. Yes. When the anvil hits a rock, it's going to make a sound. When the anvil hits a floor, it's going to make a sound. So, the sound I'm using, and these names were from the net, so it's not like I picked them because their sound names sounded right. But we can go over here and look at it. I made a glass one that sounded kind of like a tennis ball hitting. I think we did already, or not. Play it. Okay. Metal punch. This is the one I was telling you about. Oh, okay. Maybe that isn't the one I want to use. Bullet hit metal, that's the one. I'm going to use that when rock hits rock or rock hits floor. On the player, we're going to do the ouch. On the anvil hits the skull. We had a sound down here. I thought it sounded like glass. There we go, glass. That's what the anvil's going to sound like when it hits the glass. So we're going to add, go back to the anvil. We're going to add an audio source, and we're going to drag the glass up to the audio source. Now we're going to take this audio source, and when the anvil hits the skull, we're going to play that one. When the anvil hits a rock, we're going to play that bullet one again. So we're going to make another audio source. I wish it would say its name of what it was in here, but it does not. And for this one, it's going to be the bullet sound again. So, oops, move my mouse to there. So here, when the anvil hits a rock, it's going to make this sound. When the anvil hits the floor, it's going to make the same sound. I could have picked different sounds, but I wanted to show you things. All right. So, and like I said, you can back up and restore. So what we did is we just made this script reusable, because we can drop it on the thing that's moving, the anvil, the player, and the rock. I'm not doing the sound for the box. I'm pretending it's silent, but we could. And then So we made it reusable by adding it this structure here that's saying what we care about, who hit what, and then we change the code to say just go through the list, and if you find it, play the sound that goes with it. If you don't find a sound, then it shouldn't have had the script on it. But, and then, so we've said what we're attached to, because it's attached to this one, make sure the lock is not chosen when you do this. When the anvil hits the skull, it makes this sound. When the anvil hits the rock, it makes this sound. When the anvil hits the floor, it makes this sound. Anyway, and then do that for everything. Now, you might not have made an anvil and a skull, so you may only have 2 things, not 3 to play with. It's the same thing. It's whatever you did. And you can make funny sounds, right? You could make, bozo sounds or boing or whatever you want to make. It doesn't matter. It's yours to play with. And this isn't... There's a pretty good chance you're not going to make money with this game. There's also a pretty good chance if you take it too seriously, you're not going to have fun. So I want you to have fun and do these things. Okay. For a second, I thought this wasn't working, but it's just the lighting at the angle we're at. So anyway, so in my case, this is what it does, assuming I don't have an error. Console clear, run. I fall to the ground. The player falls to the ground. Whoop, something fired too soon. I know what happened. And the anvil didn't... Everything's off. I know what happened. Okay, I'm going to hit stop. What did we forget to do? We forgot to turn off play on awake on both of these. So as soon as the game started, it made the sound. That's what would happen. And that was the anvil. Let's see if the skull has the same problem. It does not, I remembered. Let's check the rock. I think I heard that big bang, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be there. No, I guess it was from something else. All right. Going to clear this out and hit play. There shouldn't be a sound. And if there is, I'll read what it says up on the console. All right. Object player hit the floor. That's good. That's what we wanted. Now, I don't hear the skull. So did I do skull hits floor? The collision. Yeah, I did. What does this sound like? Did I use the wrong one? This is the glass one. Anvil hit ground, glass object. Play. Yeah, I didn't hear it. But it should have done several times. Let's go back to the console and search for anything that says skull. That's all we're going to see now. Every line should have the word skull in it. So skull hit with something untagged. It's probably the box. Untagged, 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 untagged. Did I forget the tag thing? Is that why it's going? And it hit the floor. All right, let's see what I did here. The rock is tagged as a rock. The player is tagged as a player. The anvil is untagged. Good. So now we tag the anvil. So now it'll match this script. And the skull was untagged, so we'll mark that as a skull. And add those. And like you won't have an anvil and a skull. You'll have whatever you have. But make a tag for them and add them to the list. Or if you want, you can add them to, you can say, if they make the same sound, you might call them the same thing. It's however you want to do it. So now I'm going to clear this out, and I bet we get different sounds. Because the anvil wasn't making a sound, and neither was the skull. Hit the floor. Everything should go bang. Okay, not exactly the right sound sequence, but probably because the sounds I picked suck for what happened. But it worked. All right, and up here we still have skull selected, so kill that so we can see them all. And if you don't want to see any of these log messages, you can hit this to turn them off. We don't have any warnings, so it says 0. We don't have any errors. You can turn our errors off, warnings off, and log messages. Log messages mean debugging stuff that we typed in, like this one. All right. So with whatever, oh yeah, you can't say save during play. So whatever it is you did, send me a mini clip of it. And we showed you how to do the recording. Send me a mini clip of you hitting play. And the sounds might not come in the clip correctly. If you're hitting, there we go, hitting play, the sounds might not come in the clip. Don't worry about that. I'll take your word for it that they're working. If they're not working, let me know and I'll help you debug. And I wonder what happens if I hit the anvil. See, we could add an ouch sound for the anvil. We could add an ouch sound for the, whoa, I bassed it up. The skull, I wonder if we can knock the skull around. Yay! Okay. That works well, the sound. The box, boom, we have no sound for that. But we don't have any sound for the anvil hitting. I gave the anvil like 50 pounds, so the player would have trouble moving it, but bouncing it anyway. And we're going to check the walls here. Whoa, that one, the trees work. And evidently the tree collider is a bit big. That would hurt hitting the anvil. We should add a sound to that. There we go. The anvil hit a wall, so it made a sound. All right, so there we go. I want you to do it. I did that too long, but I want you to do it until everything falls and then cut the video. And then that's it for that. And again, share or don't share, let me know. If you don't say, I'll share it. See you in the next video.